They came at the same time.
Same time. I love it.
Welcome to Monday Night Love.
Yes. Every Monday. It makes me so happy.
I'm excited. We're competing with the NFL, which I love. I love the NFL. I'd be home watching the game right now.
They're only a little bit ahead of us, Steve.
Just barely a couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, we're behind. Anyway, welcome everybody onto Monday Night Live with Dean and Kate, or Kate and Dean.
Whichever way you want to go.
I'm Dean Nixon with TurningLeaf Wellness Center, as it says on my shirt. Just realized. And
I'm Kate Simmons with TurningLeaf Wellness Center.
And we're in sunny St. George, Utah, which is currently dark.
Yes.
But we're excited. Hello, Christine Chamberlain.
Hi.
And we're excited to get back. We have been loving the response we've been getting on our lives.
Yes, we just absolutely, any way that we can connect with you guys is so much fun for us, whether it be in person or over the social media sites or all over the place. Like it's a super cool thing. So thank you.
Yes,
for
very much.
Participating with us.
Very much. Well, as we jump in tonight's topic, we wanted to talk about, we were going to talk about control. Mm-hmm. And then speaking of control, we had this light above us that some of you noticed that in our past. Coming. Okay, here it is. There it is. There's the light itself. So this light above us, that some of the past posts, it's been flickering. Mm-hmm. And so today I had it. I'm like, okay, we're gonna pull the bulb. I'm done.
And then we started talking about things that you can control and things that you can't control, right?
Right.
Like, so we can't control the fact that bulb flickers, but we can control whether it's plugged in or not.
Amen. Amen. The thing that we learned, however, is that you need to flip the light off first.
Right. There maybe were some sparks.
There might have been some sparks.
It was exciting, to say the least. So we thought we'd talk about that with you guys tonight. So
but the bulb is out and we're good. No more flickering.
No more. We're not having a rave over here anymore.
So control. We want to talk about control. It is one of the things in life that we really struggle with. Mm-hmm. Tonight in our group, we talked a little bit about, because again, every Monday night from 6 to 7:30, we have the family support group, mm-hmm. which covers all venues, whether it be if you've got loved ones, wrestling with addiction, to dealing with family members, mm-hmm. in all different types of venues, from your parents, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So that said, we were talking about control. One of the things that we struggle with as human beings is always trying to control things, always trying to be in control of things. We alluded to it even in our discussion on anxiety, right. and the anxiety, especially anxiety and depression, but the anxiety post that we did just, I think, on the 10th or so of September. Mm-hmm. And so it was in there, but we talked a little bit about control.
Right. And so really what I think, well, I'm always doing all sorts of self-disclosure. So you guys are just getting to know me really well.
Everybody gets to know.
I know. But that's definitely something that I've struggled with and continue to work on as part of my personal development, is learning when it's appropriate to hang on to stuff and yeah. when it's like, nope, that's not in my control column, right?
Right.
So how do you know the difference
between what we can and can't control?
Right.
Well, I always like to boil it down, and you'll hear me say it a million times. There's only three things that we can control, and that's how we think, mm-hmm. how we feel, and how we act. And how we think we can control, and that's the most important thing. How we feel is controlled by what we think.
Okay.
And how we act is controlled by what we feel. So if I actually work on controlling my thoughts with boundaries, then I actually have more control over my life than ever before.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. So how is it then? Maybe we should just talk about maybe a situation, okay. right? And then like step through how to allow that, like either just to let it go or to change the way that we're seeing. Well, then I guess it brings us to one of our coping skills that we talked a lot about, which is focus, right?
Correct.
That's perfect. So let's see, something that I've been struggling with in figuring out a control issue.
Well, while you're thinking, let me make a disclosure here. So when it comes to human beings, that's one of the things that we want to control the most. And the reason we try to control human beings so much is because we are trying to minimize discomfort. And that's the whole purpose of control. Control is to try and minimize the emotional discomfort that we wind up feeling. We wind up letting our imaginations run wild. We wind up allowing our imaginations to get the better of us, which causes emotional discomfort. So in our minds, we think, well, if I can control what's happening, or if I can control what that person thinks of me, or if I can control how that person's responding, then I'm okay. Mm-hmm. So this is the disclaimer. You can control objects like the light bulb we were talking about at the very beginning. I can control that. That's something I physically can control because it's not a human being. But when it comes to human beings, other human beings, I can't control anything but myself.
Right.
And so there are things in your life that you're wanting to control, we have to take a look at, number one, why am I wanting to control this?
Okay.
A lot of times we're trying to control things, like I said, because we're wanting to control the outcomes or direct the outcomes in ways that we want. Mm-hmm. For example, parenting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, parenting's a huge one because with us as a parent, we recognize, okay, I can see the outcome or the potential outcomes of what's going to happen, i.e. we talked about this a week ago in talking about letting go of our family members.
Oh,
remember
yes.
that?
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about letting go of our family members because we're always so focused on the outcome, which makes us want to overreach and try and control. And so that's where we really have to recognize what our challenge is. If I'm trying to control another person to avoid an outcome because I think, well, okay, if my child is confronted by this or confronted by that, or if they lose their job or if they don't get a job, for example, if I have a child that I want them to get a job so that they can move out.
Right.
So I try to control that. Hey, have you checked the papers? Hey, have you put applications in? Hey, have you done this? Have you done that? All in our attempt to control the outcome of what's happening. And it's only because of our emotional discomfort, either because we're worrying about that person, or either because we want them out of our basement, or whatever it may be. It's our way of trying to control the emotional discomfort.
So I guess the next question that comes to my mind is, how can we tell if we're trying to control a situation or just trying to help? Like, so in that scenario, right? Like if I had a late teen, early like adult launching time, right? Like early 18, 19, 20, 21-ish adult living in my home that I was trying to help kind of launch out into the world. When do you know that that is control versus just trying to help kind of nudge them out of the nest?
The best way to determine that is to really look at our intention.
Okay.
Like, what is our intention behind helping, or our intention behind getting involved in the situation? So if it's with my child that I'm wanting them to move out, is my intention to help them grow and help them to progress? Or is my intention to be out of emotional discomfort? And if it's because I want to be out of my emotional discomfort, then I'm probably going to respond inappropriately. I'm going to either enable or I'm going to over control. But if I'm doing it because I want my child to gain confidence or grow, then I'm going to create agreements and set boundaries. And that's the alternative. So we've got one alternative is us controlling. On the other alternative is boundaries and communication and agreements.
Right. So Aditi says, how do we get rid of expectations from people? That seems to be a huge lack of control and big disappointment.
So how do we get rid of expectations from people that seem to be a huge lack of control? So if I'm understanding the question correctly, is how do we get rid of expectations that other people have of us?
That's what I would think.
That's what I'm taking it as. And you can chime in, Aditi, and see if that's what you meant. But how do we get rid of, well, a lot of times
allowing it to control
us. How we overcome that is through communication and agreements, like I was just talking about, is it's going back and sitting down with the person and clarifying, okay, well, what are the expectations that you have? And am I understanding what the expectation is? Now can we create an agreement around that? if the expectation, and that's one of the things that's hard about expectations, a lot of times expectations are connected to outcomes, like we talked about. Is my expectation is more of an outcome than something that I'm trying to help somebody with. I want that to look a certain way. I want that to happen a certain way. And so the key ultimately to overcome that, to move through that so we don't feel controlled, is to communicate it and to confront it in a constructive way.
Right. I've always often said, like, when I do that, when I like fantasize and theorize about how I want a situation to go, right, and then you live it and it doesn't go that way, and then you're disappointed.
Right.
Like, it's the expectation versus the reality of it.
Right.
But it's interesting. I've never made the connection that expectation is me trying to control it.
Yeah.
That's
a lot
powerful.
of times. Yeah. A lot of times people, when we have expectations, it's a form of control. It's I have perceived, and this is the part that's so interesting about us, is that an expectation is that I'll be happy when.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's like I'm going to go to a movie and I'm going to be so happy because I'm going to sit down with my popcorn and my soda. It's going to be the coolest experience of the world. I'm going to get my stress relief. I'm going to be so relaxed. And then you go there and you got people talking next to you, or the popcorn's burnt, or the movie's horrible. And so because we place all of our I'll be happy when on that, we get let down from the expectation. So again, it is connected to the emotional discomfort. A lot of our expectations are because we want the emotional discomfort to go away.
Right. So step one, as far as I'm understanding correctly tonight, is to decide whether it's for if what you're trying to control is like an object or a human.
Right.
And if it's an object, then cool.
You can
take the light bulb out.
Take the light bulb out, like we talked about at the beginning. It's something you can't control. I can turn the dishwasher off. I can repair it. I can open up the dishwasher. I can fix it. I can have the car fixed. Objects we can control. Human beings, we have no control over.
Right. So then if it is to deal with a human, whatever, right, like experience or person or date or whatever it is that we're trying to control, right?
I think we're getting somewhere, aren't we?
Then we have to look at our intention.
Right. What is our intention behind it? Is it a pure intention? Is my intention to help? My intention to help move through something? Then I need to not have an expectation. I need to create an agreement so that if I'm wanting to help somebody, for example, get a job, then what's my intention in helping them get a job? If it's because I want them to grow and progress, then I want to sit down and get their input. What are you looking for? What is the job? Where do you want to go? Let's set some goals. Let's create some agreements. If it's because I want them out of my basement, because I'm uncomfortable with that, then it's going to be more like, hey, did you fill out applications today? Hey, did you do this today? What are you doing? Or why are you sitting playing video games?
Right. It's going to definitely direct your conversation and really the feelings and the energy flow that you have between the two of you, depending on your intention. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Do we get some more?
We had a few more. So how do we replace expectations? And that, thank you. Oh, she gave us the okay. We answered it.
Oh, perfect.
Awesome. So yes, that's really the key for us. So our feed isn't going up. So sorry, Aditi.
Sorry, it took us a minute.
But we're glad we answered that. So again, it is the control piece that we're trying to do. Our goal is to remove control externally. We want to learn how to control internally. So when we become externally driven, we become externally controlling. And we start to control things around us, our children, our communications, the way people see us, the way we show up, the way that the different masks I have to wear in social settings and all of those things, all in hopes of controlling external things, to control the way people view me or respond to me. But when I become more in control internally, when I focus on the way I think, the way I feel, and the way I act, and I work on controlling those three specific things, I disconnect from the external world and I actually now have control.
I like that.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Because the more I'm trying to control the external world, the more control over myself I give away. The more I put an expectation on you, you now control how I feel.
Oh my gosh, that's super powerful.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So the minute I say, well, Kate, I expect that you are going to like these cookies I make. And so then I'm waiting because I've said I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when Kate eats that cookie and goes, dang, that's the best cookie I've ever eaten.
That's a good cookie.
That's a good cookie. I do like cookies, by the way. Please send cookies. But the reality is that if I do that, now it's you control that. You can control my emotional outcome. You can control my emotional well-being by my putting my I'll be happy when or expectation on
Isn't that super interesting that in an attempt to control something, we're actually being controlled?
Absolutely.
That's so fascinating.
That is. And again, in objects, it's different. Even with animals, like you cannot control animals. And that's one of the other things that I always chuckle about is it's so hard. You can't control your animals. You can't make your dog happy. You can't make your cat sad. You can't even make your cat talk to you, right? Half the time, if you own a cat, it's like he just looks at you so indifferent and smug.
Can I tell you a really personal experience? Yesterday was my baby Bellatrix's birthday.
That's your cat.
That's my cat. And I wanted to put on her party dress, and I couldn't find her. And I was trying to find her to put on this party dress, right? And she was like, oh, heck no, lady. We are not having a party dress. And she was hiding. So exactly. Can't even control your animals.
Right.
Even little black baby dragons.
But oh my gosh.
She looks just like Toothless the dragon.
Oh my gosh. That is hilarious. That poor cat. I'm so glad you didn't find it. But yes, I mean, even when I'll be happy when I put this costume on my cat.
Right.
My favorite part is when we project human emotions on them. So, oh, look, they're so happy. They're like, am I getting food out of this?
Right.
That's all they care about.
Are there chicken nuggets?
Are there chicken nuggets in this? Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. So again, what we're learning when it comes to control is we have to let go of controlling external things. And we have to learn to control internal and those internal mechanisms of who we are. Once we can control how we think, how we feel, and how we act, and again, I want to be clear, this is a process. This is not a one and done. This is not like, oh, I meditated and now I'm totally in control. It's like, welcome to a lifetime of work. And you will find that there are certain things as you focus on them and work on them, there are certain things that, yes, you will find a level of internal control. But then, as I always say, if you think your life's really good and you got everything under control, go to a family reunion, right? Because nothing draws you right back into the old patterns. But it is a lifetime journey. It's a process, and we've got to be patient with ourselves. That's the most important thing, is to be patient with ourselves in the journey.
Well, and then, is that the correlation of what is actually true freedom then?
Yes. True freedom comes from the ability to have internal control over our response to the external world.
That's too cool. That's super powerful. And we're 18 minutes in.
We're in.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It goes so fast.
Every time.
And it started with a light bulb. Well, thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for liking and sharing our posts. We're reaching so many people. Please, if you've been inspired or found some answers in here, please like, share, and tag people, especially in the Instagram. Feel free to tag people while our story is live. And otherwise, you can go to our YouTube channel, which is
YouTube, and then you search for Turning Leaf Wellness Center.
Turning Leaf Wellness Center.
We don't have a little catch thing yet because we got to get 100 subscribers.
So please,
and then it'll give us our little tagline. So
yes, it'll make it easier.
Go to YouTube, search for Turning Leaf Wellness Center, and subscribe. And we would just love you so much for that.
Absolutely, it'll help us reach more people. You guys are awesome. Keep in mind we have a level 1 coming up, which is that ability to really understand how the external world affects us and our ability to disconnect from that. And there's really powerful coping skills in there, and schools, I guess.
It's a school
for coping skills. And the Awakening Seminar, we also have level 2 or level 4 coming up in 3 weeks, and 4 weeks we have level 3 coming up, and 4 weeks we have level 2. I mean, we're nailing them all.
Yeah. So in between here and the end of the year, we're going to have every single level of seminar. So wherever you're at, keep moving your feet. Come join us. Let's hang out and get that next level taken care of for you.
And if there are things that weren't answered on this and you would like more help, please give us a call. And we've got the ability to do some coaching via Skype or via phone or here on my couch.
It's a comfy couch.
It is comfy. So until Thursday,
yes,
which we will be live.
We're going to come at you live.
We will see you and have a great Monday Night Live.
Bye, everyone.